Hi again, it's Angela. Welcome to week 24. I am on this video just going to kind of dedicate this video to pregnancy symptoms, and then towards the end I'll answer more specific questions. I had a couple emails about certain pregnancy symptoms that I'd been experiencing. As everybody knows, if you've watched my other videos, I had a heck of a time even getting to this point, getting pregnant, because I had gone through about 8.5 years of, going through a long time not being able to get pregnant, and then once I would, I'd miscarry and so on. I had 4 miscarriages for sure, possibly more. So yeah, I just wanted to go into some of the symptoms that I had once I actually got pregnant this time. As far as the first trimester goes, obviously the first thing that pops into mind is nausea. I did not have extreme nausea. I did notice pretty much right away that I was just kind of feeling kind of icky, kind of not myself. I really didn't, I haven't vomited really at all. I don't think. Maybe once, I don't know. But I really haven't had nausea too extremely bad. My first trimester, I did have kind of a slight sick feeling almost 24 hours a day. It wasn't something that was completely unbearable. It wasn't fun, but it wasn't completely unbearable. I was still able to somewhat function, although I was on bed rest for that first trimester, so I'm kind of thinking that the nausea that I did have maybe even seemed a little worse because I was laying around. I didn't have anything to take my mind off of it. If I would have been able to actually leave my house and work and do other things, I probably wouldn't have been thinking about that. I'm thinking maybe it would have been a little bit better. But because I was just having to lay around and twiddle my thumbs and do nothing, the little bit of nausea that I did have, I think, was probably a little worse. It was, like I said, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, pretty much slight. Of course, I did have episodes where it would get a little worse. I'd want something to eat, and as soon as I'd start to eat it, it was like, oh no, can't do it, not at all. Just the typical things you hear. I always heard that once you got into the second trimester that it would get better, and that's true for me. Luckily, it did get a lot better. But then again, I've also been able to be a lot more active also. I was able to go back to work and all that, and so I think that helped. I think that just the activity, me not being strapped to the couch, helped the nausea. So it's gotten a lot better for my second trimester. I still have, on a very rare occasion, a little episode of it. But pretty much it's not too bad. As far as cravings, I really haven't had much for cravings. The only thing that I guess you could say craved was fruit in my first trimester. I really, really, really wanted fruit. Apples, oranges, things like that. And if you think to those old wives' tales and all that, I think one of the wives' tales is that if you want oranges or orange juice or something like that, that it's a girl. So all my little symptoms that I did have all along the way always indicated girl, 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 girl. Matter of fact, I did that Chinese gender prediction chart thing, and that actually predicted girl. All those other little things that I did all predicted girl, and what do you know, I'm having a boy. So you never know, you just never know. So that's really the only thing that I ever really craved was the fruit thing, although that was never extreme. I wanted it, yes, but if I couldn't get it, it wasn't really that big of a deal. The only time that I had a really strange craving, there was one time I had a really strange craving. I do not like sauerkraut at all. Ugh. Ew. But for whatever reason, Tony and I were watching one of our very favorite movies, which is Fools Rush In. And there is a scene in that movie where they are having hot dogs from Gray's Papaya in New York. And, well, they're not actually in New York. She brings it out to them or something. And they've got like sauerkraut and stuff on them. And for whatever reason, I just decided, I had it in my head, I wanted those kind of hot dogs. I wanted the sauerkraut and all that stuff on it. Ugh. So the next day, I went to the grocery store and I bought all that stuff, and that night we had the sauerkraut hot dogs, and I had 2 huge just hot dogs full of sauerkraut and mustard, and loved it. It was so good. I just mowed those things down. And then the next day, the next day and ever since, the thought of sauerkraut, the thought of even smelling those things, oh, just repulses me. I don't even know what I was thinking that night. Oh, I'll probably never, ever, ever have that in my life again. Like I said, I never liked sauerkraut before. For whatever reason, I wanted it that night, and I never have wanted it since. So I don't know what the deal was with the sauerkraut. But the only other thing that I noticed as far as hunger issues, which really, really surprised me, I assumed that I was going to be getting more of the cravings and so on, but what I really experienced really from probably about 8-9 weeks on was extreme hunger. I'm not talking just being hungry. I'm talking like I am going to punch somebody if I don't get food, like now. It was bad. I've never ever felt hunger like that in my life. It was like animalistic, just I need food. And it would come out of nowhere. It would come out of nowhere. And I learned very, very quickly that I had to have things by me. If I was going to go anywhere, I had to take crackers. I had to take something to snack on with me, because I didn't know if I was going to get that hunger feeling, and I had to have something right now. I kept, this is kind of a tip for anybody who may experience that weird hunger, especially in the middle of the night. I would wake up in the middle of the night just so extremely hungry, but I didn't want to get up out of bed because I just wakes you up and all that. So I ended up keeping crackers, saltines next to me in the bed. Not in the bed, on the nightstand with some water. And that way when I woke up in the middle of the night and I needed food, I'd grab a handful of crackers, shove them in my mouth, chew on those, have a couple swigs of water, and then I was good to go until the morning. But that hunger thing was very strange, and that went on for, God, I think that probably went on for about a month, month and a half, that extreme hunger, and then it kind of died down, and I was like, oh, thank God, because it was miserable. It's miserable feeling that hungry. Kind of died down, and I didn't get those extreme feelings anymore. Until recently, just in the last, I don't know, 3 weeks, maybe, give or take, I've started to kind of feel a little bit of that back, and I think that's probably because I'm at the stage now where he's going through, putting on some baby fat, going through a little bit of a growth spurt or something. He needs those extra calories again or something. And so, yeah, I'm starting to feel a little bit of that extreme hunger. Well, the last couple days haven't been too bad, but it seems like it's kind of come back a little bit. Not so much to the point where I've had to keep food next to me in the bed at night yet, and hopefully it doesn't get that bad again. But, so that's a weird symptom that I've never even heard about, is this extreme hunger. But that's something that I definitely experienced.